Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. I am Jody Kite.
I am Ethan Skinner.
James McCarthy.
And I'm Brady Davis.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, fair to middling.
How are you doing? You sound like you've been gargling salt.
So that's going to go into my what we've been doing when it gets to me.
Well, hell, let's do it then. What have you been doing?
All
Shit.
right.
Jody, what have you been doing?
Oh, shit.
Jody, what have you been doing?
Jody, what have you been doing?
Jody, what have you been That's his actual voice. Right there,
totally, yeah, that's not far off. So we'll get to my voice first. So I've been I recorded an episode of Fearology 4 times. Because I thought it would be a great idea just to off the cuff try and come up with 2 short stories without actually writing them. And so through through the painstaking re-record.
This is hipster week.
Re-recording over and over again to get to a outline so I can record the episode again so it can sound perfect. So that's one thing I've been doing. I'm also been recording another project that I'll go into at some other time in the future when it gets closer to being actually done. The other thing I did was yesterday I rented 2 movies from Redbox. Right after work, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to watch a really bad movie and a really good movie and waste an hour and 45 minutes of my time and enjoy the other 2 hours of my time afterwards. So... I kind of feel guilty when I criticize a film without actually watching it, even though it might be Morbius. And so I watched Morbius. And, wow, it was a dumpster fire of unprecedented proportions. To me, personally, it's the worst Marvel movie I have seen, and I have seen all of them, including Thor Dark World.
Yeah, Thor Dark World's pretty bad.
That's my personal opinion. I'm going to go into a couple of reasons why I didn't like it. First off, Jared Leto. All right, secondly, I like Matt Smith in Doctor Who. I haven't seen him in much other things outside of Doctor Who, but I really did enjoy his acting work in Doctor Who and during his Doctor arc. And his acting was really bad in this, as was most everybody else.
Yeah, I don't think anybody gave a good performance from what I've seen in this movie.
Couple of weird CGI choices, which I knew that this was going to be a really poorly done CGI fest. So in the trailer, if you saw it, there's like these like after shadowy effects they do in Morbius, where they're trying to cover up other bad CGI with bad CGI, and there's kind of like a shadowy thing going. At one point, spoiler warning, Morbius gets arrested for eating people, or so the police have some sort of idea that he's involved in some sort of murder, and they have him in the orange jumpsuit, and he breaks out of prison. That part is so stupid. Anyway, the reason why he got to break out of prison. Matt Smith wants vampire powers and Morbius doesn't want to give it to him. Jesus. When he's in the orange jumpsuit, you know how like in the trailer he moves around and there's all these like cool shadows? The shadows are orange because he's wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Gross.
What? Why?
There's some... Everything that I've heard about this movie
I'm
is just
casting a shadow now and I'm wearing a green shirt and it's a green shadow. So...
That's also because you have a green wall behind you.
Just shut up.
Also, I watched the Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with
Pedro Pascal.
And
Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
And one of those white guys from Mad TV. I can't remember his name.
So it was a really good movie. You could see Nick Cage play himself, but more exaggerated, if that's true. Some would say that it's closer to actual Nick Cage.
Yeah, I think it's a mix. Like sometimes he's what everybody thinks Nick Cage is, but sometimes I think
it's a parody. It's a parody of how he is in his movies.
Yeah,
mostly. And
it's a parody, but a slight parody.
It's a slight
he turns
parody.
it up just a notch.
Right. And so it's like a love letter to Nick Cage.
It's also like a buddy comedy.
It is a buddy comedy as well, and it works so well.
Oh yeah, they have the best chemistry.
Oh man,
the best chemistry. Pedro and Nicolas Cage.
So if you don't know the premise of the film from the trailer, Pedro Pascal is a gun smuggler or something of the arms dealer or whatever. But Nick Cage doesn't know that part, and basically gets hired to be at his birthday for $1 million.
Yeah, because he's like a huge Nick Cage fan.
And Nick Cage is out of money, which is based on a truth from 10 years ago. And so they kind of become friends.
And he can't get parts.
Yeah. And
he's like, at the beginning, he's discussing with the director, and the guy's telling him, like, hey, you don't have to audition. And he forces an audition on the man. It is super hilarious and super cringy.
And the man's like, wow. And Nick's face looks like he's really happy because he said wow. But I think he said wow for a different reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fantastic just movie.
One of those two movies I really want to see.
Which one?
I'll let you decide that.
Morbius it is.
You going to watch some Morbius?
Well, Ethan, what have you been up to?
I can honestly say nothing. Nothing exciting has been happening to me. Work's been the same. The only thing productive I've done was I managed to beat Pokemon HeartGold within the span of a week.
I like how that's was the one productive thing. I like how you.
And you did something.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, my life is boring. What do you expect from me?
Most of our lives are boring.
How about the fact that the city of Gaucher fined you? How about that?
Oh,
can we talk about
that bullshit.
Yeah. So
what?
Yeah,
what?
yeah. Okay, so this young man received 2 citations for city of Gaucher.
2 citations.
Elaborate.
The first citation was because my grass was too long.
Oh.
Even though many other houses around me also had long grass, but I'm not hearing any of them getting complained.
Well, they don't have a podcast.
Yes.
That's it. That's
two of my neighbors come to McNubb Gaming regularly.
Mm-hmm.
They never said they got a citation. I spoke with
Censored.
Shout out to you.
Censored.
Dropped a name.
Jesus Christ, man.
And he didn't get a citation either. So what's up with this, Gaucher?
Okay. Yeah, but that was the first. What was the second citation?
The second citation was I was parking in my own lawn.
Oh.
And apparently Gaucher does not want us to do that. So the one advice for us to do to avoid this infractment was to expand.
Well, that's not a word.
I was going to let it go. But
I don't care at this
I'm
point.
an English major. I cannot let that shit.
Infractment.
He took infraction, possibly the word fraction, and infringement. And he created
whatever
a new word.
this issue is.
Infraction.
That's how mad he is about this.
He's only making new words.
The only thing the city of Gaucher told me to do was expand my driveway.
Oh
yeah, because
like someone could do that just off the fly.
Yeah. We all got expanding.
The city of Gaucher really needs to look for ways of citing people. That's all this seems to be.
Yeah, it might be that the city of Gaucher just needs money.
That all being said.
Are you talking about the same city of Gaucher that will never fix Mountain Bluff Road?
Jesus Christ. Now we're getting into some political shit now.
This is turning into that part in Casino where Robert De Niro's character just has a show so he could air his grievances.
Allow me to confirm. Let me confirm 2 things here. One, I took this young gentleman home after the podcast recording last week. Yes, Barton Bluff Road looks like it's in Bosnia right now, circa 1999. It is all tore up. The second thing is I dropped him off at his house and I said, well, that's a lot of the grass needs to be fucking cut. I'm doing it tomorrow. The next day they got cited.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I want to look you directly in the eyes. I did not send an anonymous tip to Gaucher to have them cite you.
Can I make you super angry for a second, Ethan?
Go for it.
My grass is 12 inches long.
Jesus.
Because
his grass was 3 feet long. So don't no.
But for those that are concerned, yes, I cut my grass.
There you go.
And yes, I'm still parking in my lawn.
I had 2.
Don't invite
fight the power.
Yeah.
Fight the power that be.
Yeah, either fight the power or just call upon them to come back to your house and cite you again.
I have to pay a guy once a month to mow my lawn because 2 lawnmowers in the span of a year got stolen.
Jesus.
That's
So-
fucked up.
So
That's
why
up.
mine has to go long for a minute.
Yeah, and don't talk to me about like roads needing to be fixed. I've lived in my apartment for almost 10 years and like 6 or 7 years, and like Division Street just keeps getting worse and worse.
Division
Well, actually,
Street.
what's crazy about that is parts of Division Street will look immaculate, like parts of it, while the rest of it looks like a war-torn nightmare.
Certain parts.
Yeah.
Guess which parts? The poorer parts.
You just had to say Division Street,
The
and
parts-
I understood.
The
Yeah.
parts that aren't close to the casino. Those are the parts.
Welcome to Travelers on the Politibus.
Yeah.
a field trip through red tape and bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Anything else? Ethan?
No, citations and Pokemon, that's it.
All right,
cool,
sweet.
cool.
Jay, what you been up to?
It's like literally people could have been hiding in that grass and jumped out and killed Ethan that night. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I went back and I've been playing a little bit more. Endless Space 2 is pretty cool. I played the Sophons, won a science victory with them. It's a very fun little civilization in that game because what their racial trait is any science that no one else has researched yet, you get a bonus to be able to research it faster. So it behooves you to get on the science train with them very quickly, and a science victory is usually the way you're gonna win with them. Outside of that, no, I really can't think of anything. We played Legends of Whitechapel, Letters from Whitechapel last week. The young man to my right, you wouldn't know that if you were not here right now, but Ethan tried to do the crime of the 19th century, be Jack the Ripper, kill 5 people in 4 nights, get back home as soon as possible. However, his girl Friday, his Molly Wapter. I don't know what the hell. What's a good nickname?
What are the
Bianca?
kids saying this day?
Yeah, what are the kids saying this day and age?
Again, kids, we mean you.
Fuck if I know.
Your girlfriend's called the fuck if you know. Bianca, regulate your man.
Yeah.
No,
Straight up
just
regulation,
call her
man.
Bianca or B.
Bianca or B. Okay. So Queen Bee of
There you go.
the stratosphere.
She probably will like that.
Yeah.
She figured it out and she got him on night 2. Which
Night 2.
typically, if Jack's gonna get caught, it's gonna be on night 2.
Really?
That's usually the night 2 is usually the one, because if it gets to night 3. That's the second most likely night, but that is the night of the double event where there's 2 murders, and so everyone's got to figure out which was the first murder, and try to, or rather, which one was the murder that he's tracking from. So it can get kind of complicated on that one.
This is why I don't like playing Clue. Clue is her favorite board game, and she will. I've never beaten her at Clue, and because she's always gotten it before me, like 5 turns before. I saw her like map out the route that I took, just thinking it in her head. She was like, okay, he's here. I'm going to arrest him here. And she got me.
Clue has a lot more going to it than a lot of the quote-unquote mass market games.
Yeah,
Right.
of those mass market games, like it's one of the better ones.
Definitely.
Like it's the one that if you said, hey, we're going to play Clue, I'd be like, I'll probably play
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I don't like being like 3 spaces away from a room, roll double 1, and then you get there with
That
a
is
10.
the
Yeah.
annoying
Jesus
part.
Christ.
That
It's
is
like,
the really annoying
Apparently,
part.
on the way there, I threw my back out,
Yeah.
so I can't get to the room fast enough. But you managed to like have your mobility scooter to get you right through there.
I'm glad the games we play typically aren't roll to move. Anything else you've been up to, Jay?
I don't think so. Running through my head. All the
things you said.
All the things you said. Running through my head. Brady, what you doing?
What you been up to, Brady?
Christ.
What you been up to, Brady? Tell us.
Watched a couple of shows this past week. The first one is called Under the Banner of Heaven. It's on Hulu. I think it was also on FX. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I can't keep track of what's on regular television. It's like a detective show. Takes place in the 80s or 90s, and it's the one that stars Andrew Garfield. He's a detective in this.
That's where I've heard that before. It was messing with me. Why I didn't
in this Utah town, and it's really like he's a Mormon, and his partner is Native American, and I believe the guy's name is Bill Cunningham. I wanted to make sure that I shouted him out because he's one of those character actors that I really like. But it's really good. It's kind of about like corruption in that, there's some corruption. Gil Birmingham, I'm sorry. I wanted to definitely shout him out because he's really good in that. He has some really good parts. But it's a pretty good show. It's like I said, it takes place in Utah, so there's like it's it's a Mormon town. Like they even say at one point, like it's 95% Mormon.
A lot of Mormons.
And they're investigating a murder of this woman and her like 15-month-old daughter. It's really, really good, really well acted. I will say you kind of have to pay attention to it because it's Mormons and they all have like 100 children. There's a whole lot of generic white guys with beards, so it can be very hard to keep track of.
Gotcha.
And one of them is Sam Worthington, and he's like, you have face blindness with him,
right? But
he actually does give a pretty solid performance in this. Probably one of his better performances that I've seen. Also, Wyatt Russell is in it. Kurt Russell's son.
All right.
He's always playing. I wonder if he's ever going to get away from just playing like weird, creepy dudes. But it's really, really good. I'd suggest checking it out. It's a limited series. It's only 7 episodes. But it's pretty solid. If you like detective type shows, this is a good
Sometimes
one.
the mood strikes me to watch one of those.
And this one's interesting because it talks about like faith and because there's parts in it where Andrew Garfield's character. I kept trying to figure out if it was like pro Mormon and anti Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
I think I still don't know exactly where it's at. But it's a good show. It's a good show. I'd say check it out if you like detective type shows. And then the second thing, it's not a show that's finished yet, but I really wanted to talk about it. The new season of Westworld is out, and the episode that just aired dropped big bombshells. If you've never watched Westworld, the first season, it's evolved to a different place than it was definitely, but it's ostensibly about this park for rich people where they have robots that look, act, and feel. Everything looks realistic, so you can go there and you can live out like a fantasy in the Wild West and everything like that. And the show is really, really good. I know a lot of people say after the first season it's not really all that good. I have enjoyed every single season of it. Now I will say it's a show that you can't really half watch. You can't be on your phone. You have to be
gotta pay
watching
attention.
the show. But they do really interesting things. The twists are all really are usually pretty good. They fucking around with time, with your perception of time. They'll show you things and then they'll reveal when everything happens, and it's and it drops a big bomb on you. And this last episode really did that. You thought that things were you thought you. I thought I had my perceptions pretty solid on it, but then it blew all of that.
They threw you for a loop.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop, and that really hasn't happened. Even though I've liked seasons 2 and 3, that really hasn't happened since the first season. But it's a really good sci-fi show. Really interesting questions about what makes someone human.
Right.
Really big questions like that. But it's a very, very good show. I would say again, if you're going to watch it. Don't half watch it. Don't be on your phone. Don't be doing something else, because you're going to just be confused and get angry about it.
Yeah, zone in.
But if it's a show that you can if you sit down and watch it and pay attention to it, I think you can keep up with it and everything. But I would definitely there are some brain blowing moments in that show when they actually do their reveals and you're like, oh shit, I literally was walking around my apartment oh shit, yeah. And the acting's great. It's got a lot of good actors. The first I think 2 seasons has Anthony Hopkins is in it, Jeffrey Wright, who's excellent.
Ed Harris I think is in it, right?
Ed Harris is really, really good in it. Trying to, what's the
Rachel Evan Wood.
Rachel Evan Wood. I knew she had 3 names, but it just flew out of my brain. She's really good. Thandewee Newton, and what's the other girl? Dang, she was Valkyrie in
Tessa Thompson.
Yeah, Tessa Thompson. Great.
I don't watch this show, and I know the cast.
Yeah, it sounds like
I don't know, for some reason
cast.
sometimes names just fly out of my brain.
Oh yeah, same.
I'm losing.
Why am I not watching this show? Now that I think about it, because I knew the whole cast, and James Marsden was in
the
part,
and he's actually really good in it.
Yeah, no, I've always I think James Marsden got a bad rap with the X-Men series.
Yeah, the X-Men series shit on Cyclops.
And specifically, he's spoiler alert for X-Men Last Stand. He's killed off screen.
Yeah, so he could be
it was
be
so
in
lame.
Superman Returns and get cucked by Superman.
Yeah,
also
that was
lame.
awesome.
Super cooking.
There was a couple of good parts in that movie, but but for the most part, it wasn't that.
That's
good.
that's the one with where he like lifts up the island, and the whole island is made out of kryptonite, but for some reason he can lift the underside of the island.
Yeah,
the
part in that where he saves the space shuttle is really good.
Right,
that's a great part.
That movie, and why this messes with me. I guess this is going to be a downer to bring the whole what have we been doing thing section, but so Lois has a baby.
Yep.
And the baby has superpowers.
Uh-huh.
And the only way she had is if she had sex with, and she does in Superman 2, and he blanks her mind. Which means that the Superman date raped Lois Lane.
Yeah.
The fact Kevin Spacey's in that
also
movie.
True.
On and the fact that Superman date raped Lois Lane is actually worse.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Because that was just casually in there with no thought towards it.
Yeah. Also, what's his name? Directed it.
Brian Singer.
He's also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Recent revelations on that one.
Oh yeah. Super creepy stuff there.
Brady, let's get this back to it. Tell them about the ice cream that you bought me that you forgot to bring tonight, and I can't get to
shit!
eat.
Yeah, we were gonna do a bit where Jay eats some weird ice cream, but I forgot to bring it.
What was the flavor?
Gray Poupon mustard ice cream.
Gray Poupon mustard. I was gonna bring a ham sandwich with no condiments on it and put some of the ice cream on it and then eat it.
Well, apparently from the side of it, it is a French vanilla ice cream with a Grey Poupon like caramel looking swirl. I've seen pictures of the thing open. I haven't opened it because I don't want to.
Right.
And then with like salted pretzel pieces in it. So I don't know. I have eaten several other.
I have to imagine
several other flavors that aren't like weird. They're kind of weird, but they're not like disgusting weird because they also make like a Kraft mac and cheese ice cream.
Nope.
But apparently that's out of print. I guess I don't know.
They're 3D printing them. I'll say this: I think the pretzels are in there to take the mind off the fact that you're eating mustard and ice cream.
Probably to cut out
horseradish, Grey Poupon mustard, and vanilla bean ice cream.
Probably, but I've eaten some of the other flavors. They have like a s'mores that's really good. They have one that's called strawberry jam and honey cornbread. That one's pretty good, but I haven't tried any of their like super weird flavors.
Right.
I think that they're kind of overpriced for what they are.
I'm sure they are.
Because I've had others that are of a similar price that are much better, and I would continue to eat. But they're fine. I've gotten kind of on a ice cream kick, but like I bought that for Jay to eat. It may be. It's probably going to be terrible, but look for that next week.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen. Next week.
Yeah, I promise I will. And now it's on recording, so now I have to.
There you go.
Yeah. Anything else, Brady?
Nah, that's it. I haven't had anything.
All right. Well, sometimes we like to read customer feedback.
Customer?
Yeah, customer feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. We put out a product.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Passenger Feedback, where you send us stuff that your thoughts and prayers. Thank God for that because we need them desperately around here. But you give
us your opinions and then we argue about them.
And then we shit on you.
I wasn't going to say that.
Slight diatribes of.
We were very invective against Kevin about the. Social Network and Jesse Eisenberg versus Ron Firth.
Like I told him, when I said we have opinions in the chat, I really meant I have opinions and are strong feelings about them.
I co-signed on that opinion.
Yeah,
I have co-signed opinion. Yeah, there we go. But Kevin is back along with Jared. Now it's a tag team.
We're getting double team, boys.
Yeah, it's a tag team, which is
back again.
Yeah, check in the reckon. Let's begin. Party on, party people. Let's hear some noise. DC's in the house. Jump, rejoice.
I used to have that memorized. It's just been a while.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for our hip-hop section of the show tonight.
Yes.
We're going to go far away. But no, Kevin Sheldon and Jared Hubbard from Silence Your Cellphones sent us their top 5 authors of all time. This in reference to our chalkboard on our top 5 and our definitive forever cannot be argued with list. So their lists are already wrong, but let's see what their lists are. From Kevin, he actually numbered these, so I know the order, but it's going to be number 1, Christopher Paolini. Number 2, DJ McHale. Number 3, James Patterson. Number 4, John Grisham. Number 5, Dan Brown. Thoughts? I'll say this right now. Paolini, I believe, was on yours.
I like Paolini.
So there you go. Like that for him is his
What did
number
Paolini
one.
do again?
The Inheritance Cycle.
Okay.
So like the Aragon books.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just never remembered which author did
I'll
that.
say this. People thought I was going to have John Grisham on mine. Kevin has it as 4. Again, I will say I love A Time to Kill. I think that's his most novel.
I never thought about putting James Patterson on. I did read a lot of his books.
Patterson's got a lot of exciting books. Like he's
Yeah.
the Morgan Freeman played it first, and then
Oh yeah, it was like Along Came a Spider and Kiss
Long
the
Came
Girls.
Spider, Kiss the Girls, which are exceptional movies. Really good
Yes.
movies. What's the name of that character?
Cannot remember.
Though?
And then
Oh, my God.
Tyler Perry
played him.
Alex Cross.
Alex Cross.
There
thank
we
you.
go.
Yeah. No, fantastic.
Pulled that one from the ether.
I'll say this, like a lot to me, he's most reminiscent to me of Stephen King in that it's a lot of books, and it's for the most part when it hits very well. Sometimes the stuff I think goes, I don't want to say a little too far, but just like it goes to where it just doesn't work. It doesn't hit me.
Right.
I think honestly, I think Patterson's more hit than miss, and obviously for the
Probably, yeah.
Jody, do you have any thoughts on the list?
Yeah. We have our own opinions. We also have our own tastes, and I can honestly say that I've never really read any of the authors that were mentioned.
There you go.
So,
No, I have not read a single one of these.
Yeah.
Well,
these
when I saw
authors,
the
but-
Dan Brown mention and the joke, the very small joke that was in our,
I don't like. I know Grisham did mostly what courtroom drama stuff or mystery,
not so much
political
courtroom drama.
mystery, intrigue.
More so along the line, like I think of the Pelican Brief of the books that he did. Like The Firm kind of comes to mind.
Okay,
mostly.
I've seen The Firm, the
You've
movie.
seen the movie.
Yeah.
You've seen it, like
Yeah,
that's
I've
the one,
seen
and that
Grisham
comes to mind.
movies. I've
because
just
of that.
never read
Yeah.
his books.
But I always preferred the Pelican Brief because to me the pacing on that was actually really well
Right.
done. But outside of that, no. Again, A Time to Kill, I think is his
Those
best novel.
like
yes, I think they should die, and I hope they
burn
burn
in
in
hell.
hell.
yeah. I think most of those works. I mean, it just doesn't it's not geared towards my tastes.
Yeah,
for the most part.
like this. This
I
just
mean,
I don't.
True story. I think Kiefer Sutherland's in that, right? Time to Kill?
And
Yes,
Time to
he
Kill.
is
Okay, no,
he's a Nazi. In
I had to remember. So this is 95, 96, I believe, is when they were filming up there. Actually, 96, 97.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think so.
The reason why I say this is Ole Miss, Oxford, Mississippi, just a little bit north of Canton. They had a active vampire LARPing scene going on at the university. He found out about it. He called, say, "Hey, is it cool if I show up as my character from the Lost Boys?"
Oh shit!
And so one night, Kiefer Sutherland's up there being I can't remember the name. Of
I don't remember
I can
his
remember.
character. So long since I watched
I can
The Lost
remember.
Boys.
So you'll never die, Michael.
I remember. I remember Michael because they kept going, Michael.
Yeah,
Like you had Kiefer Sutherland and Bill from Bill and Ted.
Alex Young.
Alex Young.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
There you go.
Which was like a year after Bill and Ted.
Before we go into a 4-hour diatribe on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, let's go with Jared's stuff. Jared did not give numbers. I'm assuming this in order, so if it is, it is what it is. But Ernest Hemingway, Rick Riordan, Mario Puzo, Michael Crichton, and Homer. Not Homer Simpson, you idiots.
The Odyssey.
The
Oh, wow.
original
Yeah,
Homer.
Yeah, the Iliad.
Yeah.
Iliad and the Odyssey.
yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
Like,
man,
if
you
we're
got some
talking
classics.
yeah, we're super classical at that
Yeah.
point. But
I'm
yeah.
definitely down for the Greek stuff.
I like the
there.
story. I don't think I've ever actually like read the Odyssey, but the Odyssey or the Iliad or anything.
I've read the Odyssey, but it's been a long
but like
time ago.
I love the story. Like
Yeah.
the Odyssey is one of my favorite like stories.
We mentioned during the top 5. You mentioned like the Old Testament, and New Testament. I think my senior year, I took a 500 level seminar on Western literature. The books we had to have read before the midterm were the Old Testament, the Iliad, and the New Testament.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
That was Professor Raber. Thank you very much for actually that. It was afterwards. It's cool, but Jesus Christ, that was a lot of words. And
That's
yes,
a
I
slog.
use Jesus Christ because Bible's
That
in there.
is-
But yeah,
That's a slog.
again, numbers.
Numbers.
Yeah,
Numbers.
there's so many. But like
Deuteronomy.
when I tried to read the Bible, I stopped
Deuteronomy
like
at least
half.
is a story.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
story
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck how many cubits of grain and rice you have. Stop it.
Yeah.
What are the other authors again?
Again, we go Ernest Hemingway. Well, first, I think
Hemingway.
this is number one. Like For Whom the
Hemingway.
Bell Tolls and Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
Like,
Hemingway. Yeah.
I think that's a solid choice.
That man lived a fucking insane life.
Yes.
And died almost 20 times before he actually died.
The others are Rick Riordan, Mario Puzo.
Rick,
Michael Crichton.
who's Rick Riordan?
Riordan,
He
Percy
does
Jackson.
Percy Jackson. And who was after Rick Riordan?
Mario Puzo. That would be The Godfather.
The Godfather.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Never read the Godfather book.
I never actually read the book, but like the movie is, I think, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Never seen the movie.
We finally had Michael
Jesus
Crichton.
Christ.
Michael Crichton.
was
Yeah.
mentioned.
We did mention Michael Crichton
Crichton.
after we were done with all the lists. We
Wasn't
mentioned
his first like the first of his books to get adapted? Wasn't that the Andromeda Strain?
Probably.
Because the Andromeda Strain
that was like the early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking 70s, yeah.
But yeah,
I've only ever read one Michael Crichton book, and it's The Eaters of the Dead, which is what the 13th Warrior is based on, which a lot of people think is a shit movie. I really, really liked that movie for
I
a
think
very
that
long time.
movie's fun.
I haven't watched it in a while, so I don't know how it holds up from what I remember, but like I really, really like that movie, and I like the book.
I like
too.
Antonio Banderas in almost anything, with the exception of the Anne Rice interview vampire
I literally
movie.
thought you were about to say El Mariachi and
no.
Desperado.
No,
wasn't in El Mariachi.
that's
And then
where we
and
knew
then we were
going.
gonna, and then we were gonna fight.
I'd
if that was the
actually say
case.
I like El Mariachi more than Desperado, but
Except I don't think he's in El
Antonio
Mariachi.
Banderas
is he
isn't
not?
in El Mariachi.
Yeah, I don't
He's
think
not.
he is. I don't
It's
think
all
he
nameless
is.
people.
It's
in
all,
them.
but it's the
He plays
Mariachi.
the
It is the
same
Mariachi.
He plays
trilogy.
the exact same character.
But I will say this though: Have you ever seen Interview with a Vampire, Ethan?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember Antonio Banderas' character Armand at all? Let me just
I saw this
tell you.
movie when I was like 6.
All right, well,
Who? What?
Jesus.
How? Why? Where and when? I've got all the questions out. What the fuck?
2 words.
You took your glasses off so that you can't look me in the eye. That was a smart move.
I think you're over here for some reason.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Yeah, keep going. So, no, 6?
2 words. My father. That's it.
oh, okay.
I watched like Tommy Knockers and It when I was very young.
There you
so
go.
like, and my mom to her dying day would have said like, no, we never let you watch it.
We'll talk. We'll talk one day about.
Lying.
We'll talk one day about how I was forced to watch Salem's Lot at the age of 7. But
Yeah.
Armand,
I was about that age.
Armand in the books was embraced at 15 and is a skinny, frail, pale little thing that doesn't know how to operate a telephone. Played by Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But anyway, Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right. Tom Cruise. All right.
I think I've broken Jay.
they.
No,
they-
no. I'm just like I actually I liked him in Philadelphia. He was
Who?
Antonio Banderas was in Philadelphia,
I
right?
don't
Was
think
he?
I've ever watched Philadelphia.
I've never seen Philadelphia.
That's Tom Hanks.
Tom
and
Hanks.
Tom
yeah,
Tom Hanks
I know
is
what it
in-
is,
I
but
think
I've never
he's-
seen
I think
it.
he's the lover in
Possibly.
in
I don't
He
know.
might be. I've never seen the movie.
I've literally I've seen A Time to Kill, and that's
Like-
about it of those.
It's a very, to be fair, like I think one of the reasons why I'm having trouble remembering, because I think that was him, is the fact that you had Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington
Denzel
in the same movie.
Yeah,
It's like
right.
that was who I was trying to remember.
you don't have a lot of
right.
space for like good acting once
Yeah,
those two are
very
just
true.
taking up
Yeah.
everything.
And listeners, you might be asking, well, surely they have their phones and they can look it up. Fuck it. I don't feel like it.
Not doing it. We don't have enough time for that.
We've caught the lazy.
Let
bug
us
from
walk.
Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
well.
we're right, cool. If we're wrong, cool. You know what?
Belittle us,
We're the Orange Cassidy of podcasts.
Yeah, somebody can write us a strong word letter.
Well,
sure.
And please do.
Is that all we have from?
that is
okay.
the true list.
Well,
yes.
we'd like to thank Kevin and Shelton, and Jared Hubbard.
Now we can't do the joke later.
Damn.
Too bad. For submitting
we're
their
gonna do the
customer
joke later.
feedback. I mean, listener feedback. Passenger feedback. I'm not all here tonight.
Congratulations, guys. Those lists weren't complete shit.
Yeah.
Are we sure this
Yeah.
is Jody or is this jail kite?
Oh my God!
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Does he smell like hamburger and sewage?
What?
Oh, was that established lore? I didn't.
I want to
I
establish.
think he's referring to the vampire game we were playing earlier tonight.
probably.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that, and I also want to establish facts about jail kite that will make Jody kind of eh.
That's
Like,
This
okay.
isn't going to be a short podcast.
Jay's
is
going to
it?
be in a short story.
Like jail kite's favorite part of U2 is Zoo TV. It's the only thing he'll listen to is Zoo TV.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Well, if you'd like to send us listener
passenger
feedback. I don't have my headphones.
You got to get the lingo right.
That's it.
We have a brand to
Oh,
maintain.
yeah.
You can hear me screaming at you, goddammit.
Travelers at Travelers on the Omnibus at Gmail.
Travelers on the Omnibus at gmail.com.
We'll
get
one
that,
L,
baby.
right? Yeah, one
L.
Also, you can directly message us on Spotify if you like, just yell at us somewhere.
Also, take part in our episode polls and our questions of the episode. That is where we got our feedback from this week.
And if you're listening to this podcast on another platform, we're on several platforms except for Stitcher.
Yes.
I told you it's A-Gas.
A-Gas.
It's Anchor, Google, Apple, and Spotify.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Stitcher, we want to be on Stitcher, but some of the stuff in the end user license scared me.
Those would be AGAX.
Well, we're pulling into our main topic, folks. Tonight, we're talking about Nerd Nouveau, art, and through the history of nerddom.
Yes, that's right. We're going to be talking about a visual medium on a sound podcast.
Woo! Okay.
Use your imagination, listeners. Close your eyes while we talk.
Most of our 10 of audience have the ability to visualize. And
yes. You're all smart people with good imaginations.
Yes,
Use them tonight.
And enormous penises.
Speaking of
and just the tightest vaginas.
What is happening?
The men have the giant penises. The women
I thought you were going to say the men have
this whole show's
and
begun.
No. All of them have penises.
This whole show's edited.
You can have whatever you want, people. Who are we?
That's very true,
The next
actually.
passenger feedback is going to be like, I do not have a penis. Where was I supposed to retrieve this penis in order to listen to the podcast? Don't listen to this podcast with your penis. That is my advice for you this week.
Well, if you go to getapenis.com and put in the promo code Travelers,
you can get
shipping free.
But now you see, you don't want 20% off your penis.
No. That's why I said the free shipping, because that's where they get you.
No.
Like the penis is reasonable.
I'm no longer hosting the Supercast. It's never happening.
Host, would you like to vein
but
it in?
The shipping is
I
where
ain't
they
bringing
really
this
stick
shit
it
in.
to you. Hey, you got
I'm
it.
only talking about dicks for another 20 minutes.
I want everyone to respect the fact that Brady just made the joke. The shipping cost is where they really stick it to you at getapenis.com. If there's a getapenis.com and they email us, I'm going to ask for a sponsorship. I'm going to ask for a sponsorship.
Hang on a second.
Don't do
Put that in your phone. What are you doing? Do you want to get on a list?
Bianca's gonna take your phone and I need to look
at the history.
I need to look up something real quick. Getapenis.com. What, you freak? And then it's either gonna be your best day or your worst day.
It's either a good thing or a bad thing. We don't know Bianca enough. So
Brady, you look like you're well prepared with your piece of paper out with all the words on them.
I always put in maximum.
Why is the first note getapenis.com?
I was looking for sponsorship.
Oh, okay, there you go. It makes sense. That's where you found out about the 20% plus offer.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
off offer.
Yeah,
20% plus.
Yeah. What's your take on art and nerd culture?
So, when this topic was brought up, I thought about eventually I was able to come with what I thought was a good topic, and it's kind of like the talking about movie posters and how they have changed through the years, and how there was kind of this golden age where you got all these really great movie posters, and they really affected they had a really big effect on us as I think as children, and then growing up. Like a lot of times this was the thing that made you want to see a movie more often than not. So I watched a documentary. There's actually a couple of documentaries about movie posters. One was about one specific person, but I found another one that was actually about kind of a history of movie posters called 24 by 36. It's a really, really good one. I had to rent it on Amazon, so I'm actually about $5 in the hole for this episode. Everybody. No, it was a good thing. I wouldn't, it's good. So the idea of movie posters kind of come from lithography, which was created in the 1700s, which was the kind of the process by which you put layers of ink on paper to make a picture and things like that. One of the first ones of these is what they called the charade girl, I believe is how it's pronounced. It was this girl that would be in different poses and different dresses and different things like that. And eventually, like, that became like, eventually when we get to like the motion picture thing, that starts to get real big as just a form of advertisement. Like, this is how we got people to see the movie, because people didn't have TVs, and I really think like previews of movies wasn't like really big, especially in the beginning. So it was the poster of the movie when you saw it, walking into another movie. This is what they had to get you. And there's a whole bunch of different kinds of those. There was the smallest ones were like what they call lobby cards. They're 11 inches by 14 inches, and they would just depict like a scene of the movie, and it would be like they would be in like a little tray all the way up to like your regular what they call a one sheet that was like 27 by 41, and then you could have like 2 sheets, 3 sheets, and it would just be like double those all the way up to like 27 sheets where it would be made to cover a building. And then that leads us into like the 50s where you got where there was this big explosion of movie posters, and oftentimes like the movie poster would be more exciting than the actual movie. You would see this, and it would be really, really cool. This image, and it would be really, really cool. And then you get in it, and the movie is like a very cheaply made sci-fi movie that barely ever shows the monster that you're trying to see. And this is the time of guys like Albert Kalis and Reynold Brown, I think maybe. Albert Kalis did Attack of the Crab Monsters, I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, Invasion of the Saucermen, and the classic Girls in Prison. And then Reynold Brown actually was the guy who did the very famous poster for the Creature for the Black Lagoon. It's the one where the creature is like underwater holding the woman, and then you see the divers coming in. He's the one who did that. He also did the poster for the Alamo with John Wayne, and Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which a lot of people, that's a pretty well known one where the really tall woman is like breaking stuff over like a city skyline or something like that. And around this time, like in the 50s and 60s, like they never, like nobody really got credit for these things. Like they even into the later years, like they really didn't like you to sign your work. But when you get into like the 70s and the 80s, that's when they're like all these people who are like super well known become really big. You got Bob Peak, who did Apocalypse Now, that very famous with Marlon Brando as Colonel Kurtz, Rollerball, My Fair Lady, Star Trek the Motion Picture. And then you also have guys like John Alvin. They do Blazing Saddles, E.T., that very famous shot of the E.T. finger and the boy's finger. He's the guy who came up with that one. The child's finger is actually his daughter, I found out, so that's actually pretty cool. He did Blade Runner, that very famous the cover that you see on most of the Blade Runner older when it originally came out. He also did the Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, so he did a lot of very famous ones. You got and before this you've got like Saul Bass, who did like one of the very famous the Vertigo poster, and The Shining, the yellow poster with like the face and the big T of The Shining, one that was very, very well known.
Just to say, that one is so simple. It is literally, and you take one of the starkest colors, that like blend of yellow, and make everything else black and white, so that there's this complete juxtaposition between both. And like I can see that poster in my head right now.
That one stands out, and I think real quick before you go on.
Yeah. Feel free to stop me at any time.
Right. Real quick before
there was a lot of passion there. I didn't want to stop that.
Yeah, definitely not. I think out of all the 50s to early 60s, I think the only, like out of all the monster films that you mentioned, I think Creature from the Black Lagoon's the only one that didn't misrepresent what it was.
Oh yeah. And the Universal monster movies, like those were like really,
those were sold as they were. Invasion of the Saucermen, not so much. Most of those.
That's the very famous one where you see like the big green,
the gigantic heads.
Yeah.
And I think the 50-Foot Woman was also pretty close to what you were getting into on that. And I think that when we hit the early 60s with Psycho as well, most of the Alfred Hitchcock posters were very minimalist, very, very refined in that way.
Especially like Saul Bass, like a lot of his were like very, very minimalist.
They pop really well, and those kind of posters really stick in your brain, like Jay said, and are all very memorable and have been reused for T-shirts and things like that because of that very reason.
And really, like, some of this is just going to be like me naming some of these guys and like giving them the credit that I think that they're due, because a lot of these were like these were the things that as a child like made you want to see the movie.
Right, because a lot of times the poster art would be the cover art on VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There would also be, speaking of that, like Roger Castell, he did the Jaws. It eventually became the Jaws poster, but he's the guy who, you know, the hardcover was like this really weird, like almost cartoony, derpy looking. Because everybody, you know, the Jaws it's the lady swimming and then you have the shark coming up.
Right.
And the hardcover looked like really weird.
Yeah.
So he like went and did research, and like he said he actually went to like they interview him, and he talks about how he actually went to a natural history museum and like found, okay, oh, this shark, like, oh, the gray on this shark is really cool, and then like, oh, this shark right here has like the nastiest looking teeth and everything, and he like composited this all together, and that's what went on the soft cover. And then they asked him like, hey, send us your this drawing because we want to make this for the movie poster. And he's actually, they make kind of a big deal out, like he's that original drawing that he made, that is lost to time kind of because he never was able to get it back. It was very frustrating to hear that. He's also the same guy who did the Empire Strikes Back, that poster where Han is kind of like dipping Leia, where it looks like he's gonna kiss her. Because he did one that like had a tauntaun because he thought that was like really, really cool. And then they were like, well, we want some romance in this. And he was like, well, okay, here's these two characters, let me make them, you know. So he's the guy who did that very famous one. You got Richard Amsel. He's the guy who did the Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's a super, super famous poster. You know, with Indiana Jones, with the kind of like rock background. Dark Crystal, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. A really cool thing, the Hello Dolly poster, which if you've ever seen it, is like really bright colors and like really, really pretty. He did that when he was a senior in art school. Oh, damn. Yeah, so this guy was like really, really well known. One more that I just wanted to mention real quick was Drew Struzan. There's another documentary called Man Behind the Poster that's supposed to be really good, but I only really had time to watch one of them. Right. Because I didn't know about this documentary, but I decided to watch this because it was a more comprehensive. Right. Thing. But he's done like Harry Potter, The Phantom Menace, all of those kind of like painting type posters that you've seen. And they really like the Harry Potter ones and like the Phantom Menace ones. Those are also used for like the DVD / movie covers. Back to the Future, that famous one where of you know, Marty and the Doctor like looking at the watch or whatever. Like,
I have to ask.
Yes,
and I apologize for this, but it's my favorite movie poster of all time, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Who did the poster for the Warriors?
I don't remember.
That is my favorite movie poster of all time.
That's a really good one.
And that is a good one.
You want a poster to give you an idea what a movie's going to be about without completely telling you like everything that's going on. And the words in that poster along with that are like when you see at the very top of these are the armies of the night, and it's just you see like the fucking baseball clown, like the baseball clowns, the baseball furies, I believe.
Yeah.
The Lizzies, all those bands. Jesus Christ, Jay.
There were a lot of bands in that movie.
There were some bands. There was some great music in that movie. Lynn Thigpen was the DJ that is giving. It's like, oh, the Warriors are going down the street. Maybe they're going to make it home. Like that. Lynn Thigpen, who would eventually go on to be the chief in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh yeah.
The game show that was on PBS. Fantastic game show. But that everything is perfect for me about that movie.
That is, yeah, and that's a really great movie poster. I don't remember seeing anything about that person. Might not have been like one of the more well known ones.
Or
I missed it because I did actually look up some other people that weren't talked about in the thing.
It's just like when you start anytime I think of movie posters, eventually my mind goes to that one because that is. God, that poster is so cool.
There's no credit for that one that I can find so far.
And like they said, sometimes these people just didn't get credit.
I'm going to be on a hunt for some.
John Alvin actually had to hide his name. He said his name on the Blade Runner one is hidden in a building.
Oh, that's disgusting. I hate that.
His name on the ET one is hidden in the curve of the earth. So a lot of these guys had to do stuff like that.
These are those are true works of art. Those are legit.
Oh yeah. They're fucking beautiful. But then we get into like the 90s and the 2000s, and we get to a problem of like it's just photo manipulation. That's all it is. Just listing off some of the tropes, because like you can find like collections of pictures where all of these posters are doing the exact same thing. There's the two faces where half is in shadow, half is in light. You know, you got your Face Off poster, you got your Few Good Men, I think, things like that.
Also, eventually that mutates into one side must be teal and the other side must be orange.
Teal and orange, that's a big one. The photo of it's kind of maybe a city, maybe it's like you can see the city in the background, but then there's a person who is facing away from the camera of the poster. Think of your Dark Knights and things like that. Battle LA or whatever that fucking movie is. You got your ones where it's, you know, you got your, I called it the Johnny Depp movie because they just showed a whole bunch of Johnny, where it's just like the character looking at the camera or slightly looking away from the camera.
All the Pirates movies that I remember.
Three floating head. That's another big one where there's like a scene at the bottom and then you've got your 3 or 4 floating heads or your floating heads on the side. It's like they kind of lose that, and they get to this point where, and they talk about like doing testing, audience testing, where you can't do illustrated stuff anymore because people think it's for an animated movie. Like if they don't see like an actor or an actual picture, then people think that it's for an animated movie, and it gets very, very depressing. But the good thing that comes out of this is you get companies like Mondo who commission all these really, really good artists to do movie posters for old movies, different movies. You know, I would suggest definitely looking those up, because some of these people do like really good, but then they also get into like they create like a secondary market because they only make so many of them. Like you can get this art for like $60, you know, for a poster, but then like on the aftermarket it's for like $1,000. So there's like this weird thing, and they constantly talking about like like the bubble popping in that. And this is a little bit older movie, so I don't know about that. So yeah, we got kind of this resurgence of this idea of the illustrated movie poster. And if these are a lot, you've probably seen a lot of these as like cell phone backgrounds and things like this. I know a lot of the ones that they showed I had seen before because I had seen them as like things that you could download for that. Check those out because they're really good. And like I said, you could use them as like a cell phone background or something like that. But you can also possibly purchase some of those. There's like a big like collector's market and community around all of that nowadays. So there is like a resurgence in a way that, but like, you know, posters that you see nowadays at your actual theaters aren't going to be that great.
No,
they're going to be, you know, if they're for a live action movie, it's going to be just faces where they use Photoshop
and teal and orange.
You got your like your screams that has all the faces, the character with the back to the thing, the portrait of the character, the floating heads. And this is also because like the producers and the actors become more powerful, and I want to have my face on the poster. And
right, and the studio system changed over the years. Also, that could be something.
And you can't. Well, yeah. When you have the actors having more power, you can't have somebody illustrating it because the actor wants certain things done. Like they talked about how Charles Bronson, if he was on a poster, you had to draw him with a certain vein bulging out of his arm.
Of course,
you couldn't have him on a poster unless you showed that.
That's so weird and specific.
Yes, and they just got more and more power.
Right, because I mean, like during the James Bond films in the 60s, they didn't have any say.
No,
because they were working directly for that studio, and that was part of their contract, was their likeness could be used for movie posters, and they got no residuals for it at all.
Yeah, and they talk about some of they still kind of bump up with that when people are making, like, you can't, like, they want certain things that can and can't be on there. Like one of these guys was talking about how there was a Vincent Price movie that he was doing, so they got the rights from the movie from the studio, but they didn't have the rights to put Vincent Price's face or even say write the words Vincent Price in this movie. It was like the Abominable Doctor something or other.
The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Yeah.
Phibes.
Phibes, yeah.
So the guy had to like he happened to somehow had made contact with Vincent Price's daughter, so he actually had to like call to get that, because there's like all these weird rights. So like you could have rights for the movie, but you might have
I respect that
rights for the
I respect that to a level. But yeah, when you like bring up the Bronson thing, when it becomes so weird and specific, like you don't let artists do art.
Yeah, that's where I fall on. And they were talking like, with the guys from Mondo, they were like, yeah, we really try very hard if we want to do something to go it about, the right way. But if we really, really want to do something, we are just going to, but we are going to try at least at first. But if we hit a roadblock, then hey, we might try and do it, the not right way. So, but I just want to end by kind of calling out, these guys do like kind of random things. They're not like known for a whole lot of stuff. So I'm just going to name out a few of these guys to just give them a little bit of credit, because these, they do a lot of really good work. If you watch the documentary or anything like that, you're going to see these guys work, or just go to like Mondo's website or whatever. I'm pretty certain that they're still around. But you got like James Edmiston, Tom Whalen, Paul Ainsworth, J.C. Richards, Paige Reynolds, Gary Pullen, and Matt Tobin. These are some of these guys these are some of these artists that are working nowadays. There's not really a whole lot of people doing art, like art posters for actual movie studios. They're doing it for these like secondary market, not really secondary market, but like these extra marketing things that aren't this extra market that's not really doing things actually to promote the movie. This is just art. So that's kind of where it is now. It's kind of a bittersweet thing, to where it's sad that we're not getting this in like a big, from the studios. But there is like a market where if you want to, these really nice drawn movie posters, you do have a place where you can at least look at them if you can't necessarily afford them.
And there's also like a lot of like inspired by fan art. Like the Warriors Jay mentioned earlier, there's a website in the UK that just sells fan art about the Warriors, like people's different interpretations of the different gangs that were in there, different versions of the film that like, because a lot of movie posters would have different art for different areas of the world, just because of legal reasons and things like that. The European version of a movie might have a different artist that did them.
I can't remember if it's Spain or if it is Mexico, but it's Los Guerreros. And it's just the Warriors walking down the street, and and they're cast in shadow,
right?
So you get this notion that they're in this really bad situation.
Yeah,
like it's a different art piece entirely. It gives you information about the film, and it does so subliminally, where you can pick that up, where you don't have to be told directly what's going on.
And of course, this movie focused more on like the America. But I want to say like foreign markets, even to this day, like are not as likely to have that opinion of like anti illustrated things. Like some of them, if I remember correctly, can get kind of wild. So, but I think some of those like kind of lie about depending on what country it is. But yeah, so that's the thing that I want to talk about. I think that's a very important thing. It movie posters have like a very, like, everybody, if they've seen like the Raiders of the Lost Ark or the Blade Runner poster, or even closer to into this millennium, the Harry Potter, those posters, those really bring a lot to people's minds.
And so also, me personally, I have an affection for the 60s, like Lucha Libre versus Monsters posters, like El Santo and Blue Demon versus like random Dracula, Frankenstein. Those are wild to look at.
Oh yeah, because those had such wild posters, and even though the movies might not be as exciting, like, that
definitely
got
not.
So many people into sci-fi, and so many like directors that you love, like into certain genres because of those posters,
right? Well, this is the are we
yes. So ladies and gentlemen, where we're recording is almost midnight, and Brady's about to turn into a pumpkin. At least that's how we understand it from our good fairy godmother. So he's going to be heading out. He's got real life shit to deal with.
Yep. Somebody open up the emergency exit so I can jump out.
Okay.
Cool sound effect. All right. See you later, guys.
All right.
You catty bitch. All right, Brady, thank you very much, brother.
All right, man.
Taking his toy and leaving.
All right. That was very passionate, and I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. That was great.
There we go. All right. You are still the host.
I am still the host currently. Yes. We are jumping from movie posters to mainly cover art for novels, just like in the visual medium, also in the print medium, things had to be sold visually. And one of my favorite artists that did so, mainly in the 60s and 70s and through the early 80s, and we'll get to that, is Frank Frazetta. Frank Frazetta started in comic books when he was 16.
I think Little Abner, wasn't it? I think it was Little Abner comics.
It was some offshoot stuff, and eventually he got into more named works. Most of his artwork that still sticks out is some of the cover art that he did for Conan the Barbarian novels in the 60s. He did a lot of sword and sorcery. I believe the names of the paintings actually reflect a lot of the stuff he did. Like one was, let's just see, Winged Terror, Swords of Mars. I think those are novels, but those are also the names of the paintings. Just
Swords of Mars. That was the John Carter, Ed Rice Burroughs.
He did.
Right?
He did some John Carter stuff. He did some Conan stuff, and he did some I won't say generic sword and sorcery stuff, but he definitely did. One of the cover arts he did was John Carter and the Savage Apes of Mars in 1971. He also did one of his most prolific pieces of art was The Death Dealer, which was also used in a military poster to promote joining the Marines or the Army, I think it was, at one point. There is a lot to be said about Frank Frazetta, although we don't have that much time, but I will go over a couple of things. He did different versions of The Death Dealer. The man has quite a lot of art books as well. One thing that he did at the time that wasn't really something that artists were able to do once he got enough traction was that normally once you submitted, because he did everything in oil painting, you would submit your oil painting when you were commissioned to do a work, and they would take that painting, and other artists would do line art off of it for the novels and things like that, because they did not have scanning technology back in those days. And you wouldn't get your painting back. And then he wrote into his contracts after a certain point that he gets his paintings back. And a lot of those paintings are still available to see in different art galleries around the world. And there was a time when he passed away in the 2000s, in the late 2000s. You could actually acquire his artwork. It was very expensive, of course. One of the most famous things he did was the film Fire and Ice.
Yes.
Which is a rotoscoped production. Ethan, do you know what rotoscoped is?
The term has been used around me, but I do not. I myself do not know.
Rotoscoping is when you film action sequences with actual actors, and then you draw around their actions to make it look fluid and realistic. And it was done in the film Heavy Metal from the late 70s, from 77, 78. But it was done in Fire and Ice, and Fire and Ice actually has the visual representation of the Death Dealer in it.
It has some of the most. It's one of the most striking effects that I've ever seen. He mentioned Heavy Metal, and it's the opening of Heavy Metal definitely uses that. I would like to recommend Transformers movie. The Unicron scene where he's transforming them into Galvatron and the other new Decepticons. That's done in
rotoscoping.
Gotcha.
It's an art form that is rarely used anymore, at least in film media. However, there is one quick little side note before we get back on Frank Frazetta. There is a YouTuber by the name of Joel Haver who does rotoscoping. He's got some hilarious stuff out there. So definitely check out Joel Haver. But yeah, Frazetta did that, and I want to say that was a Bakshi film, Fire and Ice.
I think Fire and See, what would mess with me in that regard is I would see Bakshi doing his own rotoscoping. Because he's Frank
right?
He's Frank Bakshi. All right, yeah. Like that's just me in my brain.
Right.
Ralph Bakshi. Jesus Christ.
Ralph Bakshi. Frank Bakshi.
I'm an idiot.
Ralph Bakshi. I'm also an idiot.
I would like to see the fusion dance between Frank Frazetta and Ralph Bakshi. Holy hell! Can you imagine the artwork would come?
No. It was Bakshi.
It was Bakshi. Okay.
Because I remember. Before I looked it up to double check, I remember because there's this awesome documentary on Frazetta called Painting with Fire from 2003. And it actually has a scene in the documentary with him and Bakshi like talking about things. Because during the production of that film, they were not very happy with each other because art direction and things of that nature.
They have very distinct styles and I think personalities to go along with it. Now I will say this, because I want to get this in. You mentioned Frazetta. To me, he goes hand in hand with Boris Vallejo.
Mm-hmm.
Boris Vallejo's very similar style. They've drawn and animated the same. Well, not animated, but they've drawn the same characters, specifically Tarzan, Conan the Barbarian, Doc Savage. They have a style that, to me, is why Arnold Schwarzenegger was chosen for Conan the Barbarian, because the drawings for them are these exceptionally muscular men, 1% body fat, just towering. Like they're all over 6 feet tall. You kind of get from the Conan books that Conan isn't as built as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
But when you get the artwork of Vallejo and Frank Frazetta involved in that, and those gentlemen drawn the way they are, so for me, as far as impact on pop culture, nerd culture, things like that, I think that's what facilitated Arnold Schwarzenegger getting into the zeitgeist.
Also, I don't know if you ever read any of the for a little bit, I think it was late 70s to even late 80s, there were some comic books that were magazine size. And there was a Conan one. It was all in black and white, and I really think that it was inspired by the artwork from Frazetta and from
Boris Vallejo.
Yeah, Vallejo.
Vallejo's still alive, by the way.
Right.
Him and his wife, I believe Julie Smith, they do a calendar a year.
And Frazetta also did cover art for Vampira as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's that as well. Yeah, and Frazetta's like influence is definitely like, seen in different mediums as well. Still,
I think, again, Frazetta, but for me also Vallejo. Like, they again, not just the male form, but the female form you see in that again, like almost zero body fat people, like these quote unquote perfect bodies.
Right.
We can argue about that for here to eternity, but it created to me a style and a vision that people expected out of these characters when they finally saw them on the screen.
And Frazetta was not into any of the actual stuff that he was drawing for. He never read any of the Conan books. That's how he thought he would look from the description he got from the person who wrote it.
That makes 100% sense.
Right. So, which is hilarious when you think about the implications of what he imagined Conan the Barbarian would look like is what people wanted Conan the Barbarian to look like for the movies and things like that. So, yeah. So,
all righty.
Frank Frazetta. Ethan, what you got for us, man?
So, I'm not all that cultured when it comes to...
I'm sorry. Like I heard, I'm not all that cultured. It's like, yep.
Yeah.
You are definitely not a yogurt.
Yeah, no. So I went with something I feel like I have a good understanding of. So I went. I actually have to give credit to Jody because I didn't really know what to kind of like do research on because I was a little confused on the assignment, and then Jody was like mentioned Magic the Gathering artists, and so I was like, okay, I never really thought of that, so I'll go with that direction, and I really want to focus on like the progression of Magic the Gathering illustrations are on codes. So I chose three artists that have been shown throughout the years, and just to show the vast differences between each of their art styles. To my understanding, the illustrators for Wizards of the Coast, they're either people that are actually employed through Wizards or artists that Wizards will commission from set to set, and if they like their art enough, they'll recommission them up until they're like, hey, starting to get a little tired of all this heavy load that you keep
a lot of these artists you're about to mention, the ones that have been doing it for years, you could see their style evolve through
that's
years.
Actually the cool part about it. I like
one of the ones who's been with Wizards of the Coast since Alpha set, Mark Poole. He had the original design for the original Counterspell, Ancestral Visions, and possibly the best looking art I've ever seen, Indestructible Aura. Have you guys ever seen it?
I don't think so.
I have.
It is a falcon with the body of a man holding rock signs with fire and ice coming out both sides of it.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that
art. The
art.
card is metal as fuck.
I have seen that art.
And it's white magic.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The card itself is trash, but the art is fantastic.
That's usually...
That is a running theme for a lot of Magic cards. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous cards with shit fucking rules.
Yeah. But you can tell, like, when it comes to, like, the earliest sets, like Alpha, Beta, Revised, all of it's, like, grainy, but at the same time, it's also due to what they had back then.
Right.
In the 90s, like, when it comes to scanning illustrations from hand-drawn into actually printing them. It has like this grainy texture to it, and all the artists tend to focus on the foreground than the background. But whenever you get to some of the more modern artists, like Jesper Icing, he also tends to focus on the foreground elements, like the main focus of the code. But in a lot of his other works, he tends to incorporate both the background and the foreground. He did one of the arts for the Bitter Blossom in one of the in Ultimate Masters, where you see this very dark black and purple tree, and in the midst of it, you see all these fairies, and they blend in, and it all goes together all beautifully. Another example, Zelda the Dawnwaker. In the background, it's nothing but rock sculptures and and structures, but in the foreground, you see this elegant red and white fox that is just basking in the sunlight, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, he's also the artist for Tooth and Nail in one of the master sets, where it's nothing but two ravaging beasts just going at each other. And with him, you could actually see like his art actually reflects on what the card actually does.
I think that Tooth and Nail art goes all the way back to Mirrodin when it first came out. I'm almost positive.
Probably.
I believe he was the original.
Almost positive. Like, I think that because I remember that being an entwined card, and that was Mirrodin first time that ever showed up in the game.
Yeah, he was the original artist for the Mirrodin block.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite Magic the Gathering artists is, I want to pronounce her name correct.
Is it Therese Nielsen?
It is, in fact, Therese Nielsen.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe her artwork is almost like ceramic artwork. Cards like Into the Infinite, Visions of Beyond. I don't know if she did Gift of Arazika, but it's like you see it reminds me very much of like church ceramic windows, with like tiny, like all these large and small chunks of glass coming together to make one larger portrait. Like something about it just fascinates me, and to see like Into the Infinite with all these intricate shapes and designs coming and melding into a human face, and the face is all like symmetrical and geographic, and Visions Beyond, like the guy's mind like melts into all these wisps and clouds, and it's just beautiful. She also did the original art for Eternal Witness, which is not really in her ceramic art style, but it's almost like that, if you can understand what I mean by that. And just seeing like the evolution from what Mark Poole had at the time, and he's still employed through Wizards, and his art, like you said,
he has a bat token. Like, this is so weird for me to even think about it. He has a bat token. I think it's either red or red and black. That looks amazing.
Oh yeah,
and you can tell it's Mark Poole, even though it's decades later.
Right.
It's just amazing. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing, yes, the evolutions, but how also these certain kind of motifs still stay in with the art that they're doing. Yeah. Now, again, it's like you get a picture or two every set from a lot of people.
Well, it depends on the set. And before I say anything about that, I want to mention John Avon. John Avon, who's designed for most of the sets over time. John Avon mostly does lands. And lands, especially basic ones, get looked over a lot of times. But he's done some of the best land work.
I think there's a Mirage from Mirage set. There's a mountain that looks like it has like a skeletal pirate buccaneer face in it. I think that was John Avon.
Probably.
I think that was John Avon.
He does some really awesome land art. Another guy who he's one of the commission artists that hasn't done a lot of sets, but when they first started doing the full art lands in Zendikar block was Vincent Preuss. If you look up Vincent Preuss, you'll see some really pretty swamps. He started drawing swamps pretty, so that's also a thing. There's been a large amount of Magic the Gathering artists over the years, but I think I want to say, starting with original Innistrad, they started giving their artists focus, and what I mean by that is, like, for example, if they wanted like all of the humans to look a certain way, an artist would be commissioned to do all of the human looking artwork. Yeah. So that it's sort of like, was all very specific. I don't want to say an amalgamation, but something to where you could like, okay, this artist did the humans, so the person that does the werewolves, there's a big contrast between artwork, so they all stand out. Mm-hmm. And I think that really started with Innistrad and really continues with most sets today.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more artists than the ones that we've mentioned that have done.
There's like 47. Yeah. There's 47 named artists. Those are commissioned artists and people that have worked with Wizards for a very long time. I think John Avon exclusively worked with Wizards for the most part of his career.
Yeah.
And still does artwork, I think.
Christopher Rush.
Yep. Christopher Rush.
The artist of the most valuable Magic the Gathering card there is, the Black Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
Just yes, but also to include along with that, Chronotog. Probably my favorite of the Atogs. Because he has this big, goofy, fun grin on his face. And just like these like nondescript eyes. And it's just like, you could tell he had fun drawing that and then painting it.
Right.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. He also has a forest. It probably goes all the way back to Alpha, but 4th edition is the one where I kind of, and it's this it's a dark forest. There's these deep browns, greens. The trunks are black where the shadows are. The background is this deep blue. And what I love about that is you could play that in a deck and you could play it like green-white, and it's like, oh, it's, this nice little respite forest, where all this other evil stuff is going on. Or you could play it in a green and black deck and it's still kind of visually motifs with like an evil deck along with it as well. I like how the same cards, depending on how you kind of build your deck together, also can kind of take on the theme of that, and they kind of open theme those. So I really think Christopher Rush, like I think if we didn't mention him, that'd be a terrible thing to just kind of pass by.
Also, Matt Cavetti, he's done a lot of art for Wizards, but he also has spent time as creative lead for different sets as well. So he did double time for Wizards of the Coast. So that's.
I would like to another personal shout out to. I will apologize in advance. Jahan Chu, Yargle Glutton of Urborg, the one card no person will ever put in their decks, but I will respect him for making it.
Yargle is a 7/3 legendary creature with no abilities.
Yes.
For 3 mana.
5 mana.
For 5 mana.
5 mana, 9/3.
Yeah, 9/3. Yeah.
A frog spirit.
Yep.
Respect him. Yeah. But no one will ever play Yargle.
The artwork is pretty pimp, but yeah.
I'll give a shout out to Horror Stuff real quick and Anson Maddox, who did the Abomination. Look up the original Abomination card, and it's just this mound of flesh, and it's so disquieting. And I think the abomination is like if it attacks or deals damage to a green creature, destroy the creature outright. It's just it's disgusting, and it's so good.
There's
so good and that disgusting.
There's another card. I cannot remember the name of it.
That's unsettling.
That abomination is unsettling.
Another unsettling piece of art is Ad Nauseam. That's also unsettling.
Yeah, that's just sad when you take a look at it, because it's a dude literally writing his life away. He becomes all decrepit and sad. It's like, please end this.
And there's another one that's similar that has like, you know, a dude with no skin on his face. So also a thing. Anything else, Ethan?
Nothing I could think of. Yay magic.
All right, Jay, what you got for us?
If we do not talk about comic book artists in this, we are losing out on a tremendous amount. My focus is primarily going to be on Western, so we got mostly the United States, but some British artists as well. I do apologize to the fandom for anime. Anime doesn't hit me as well or as hard as with other genres of this. So there is going to be a bereftness of that. I will mention very briefly Akira Toriyama for his work with Dragon Ball. Whether it's Dragon Ball Z, the shonen, and I'm talking about the shonen animes. I like his art style. I legitimately like his art style. His storytelling style can go right out a fucking window.
Gotcha.
But I like the expressive faces, like the colors. I'm absolutely love that. I would also mention Osamu Tezuka, the father of modern Japanese animation and into my opinion, manga. Like if you look at Wonder Boy, good lord, stupid J, Astro Boy. If you look at Astro Boy. I think also with Leo, Jungle Emperor, which is Kimba the White Lion, when it was made into an NBC children's TV series over here in the States. If you want to look at the history of that compared to Simba from The Lion King, you'll be very shocked to see that, no, it really probably didn't have much of an influence on The Lion King. If you want to check that out, go to yourmoviesucks.org on YouTube and watch the video on that. It is crazy insane. But that being said, Osamu Tezuka, again, the father of modern anime, or modern Japanese animation and cartoon styling, borrowed heavily, in my opinion, from Disney. Original Disney stuff, like the wide eyes. Again, the kind of the wide eyes, WIDE eyes. The expressions, the way facial expressions work, I think is actually, again, if I don't mention those two, I think there's a lot more.
Princess Knight as well.
And
Phoenix, which the manga ran from 54 to 88.
I'll also briefly mention Junji Ito because I don't want Jody to
stab
me.
If you didn't, I would have.
If you want to talk about comic book horror, Junji Ito is beyond himself. And of course, Hayao Miyazaki, which more so in the animated sense, so not much, but I believe he has done some manga work as well.
While we're on the topic of manga real quick,
we're about to get off of it, so Mr. Piece.
Ichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece. This is
fuck One Piece. Fuck that art style. I fucking hate One Piece. No. Shut your fucking shit off. I'm not letting you talk. So we're going on to like actual good artists.
Vagabond, the guy, whoever does Vagabond. I don't know if you've seen.
We're going on to good artists.
I'm not saying it was out.
I don't have footing to talk about Vagabond. But One Piece art is complete garbage to me.
I wasn't.
It is absolute garbage.
It was gonna be something entirely different.
I don't want what you got because what you got is probably cancer.
You will probably agree.
Okay, there we go. But now I want to talk about where to start. You see, you fucked me up. There you go. No, I want to talk about probably my favorite comic book artist. He's a little bit later in the game, but Jim Lee. Jim Lee's style of art, alongside that entire Marvel group that had Todd McFarlane and the other guys that went off to Deform Image. If you want to talk about how comic art has gone from the 90s to there, you have to talk about them and just the amount of their style came into it.
I was like right there because the 90s, the early 90s, especially when Image and Valiant came out and DC Vertigo came out, it was a boom of art everywhere
and storytelling.
And I was like on board for like everything Image did up until the point of where we heard a rumor about a new comic called Wetworks, and then 5 years later, Wetworks came out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like the Pit, the Max, all those were Wildcats.
Good stuff. Wildcats, Gen 13, Jim Lee. But my favorite of his, like when he finally signed on with DC, his version of Batman. This is very sleek, pencil drawn, perfect style from Jim Lee. Absolutely love it. I will go back and talk about people like Jack Kirby.
Of course.
Steve Ditko, Joe Kubert. These people are responsible for creating, I think of all people, Kevin Smith said that they are responsible for creating the pantheons of our time. These godlike creatures that have these powers and we watch their adventures first in print comic. Now Marvel and DC are pretty much like almost phasing out their comic divisions to give you stuff that you see online as far as movies and TV shows. Those started with them. Like, do you like Spider-Man? I greatly respect what I was about to say Jim Lee again. Jay, you're fucking idiot. Stan Lee.
Yeah.
I greatly respect the storytelling of Stan Lee, but if you don't have the visuals that Steve Ditko gave you with that, I think he also worked on Doctor Strange as well, and a number of other characters. But
right.
Jack Kirby, Fantastic Four. When he comes over to the DC line, that's when you get Darkseid. You get I forgot the name of the not the other gods, the new gods.
Oh yeah.
Jesus, this is we're very late, but I'm gonna push through this. Goddammit. But yeah, no, his like again creating these pantheons and these characters that now like we don't have Hermes, we have the Flash. We don't have our animistic culture is we have a Spider-Man, not necessarily a spider totem or things like that.
Right.
I think their contribution to nerd and pop culture is simply that it is a retelling of superhero, god characters and god creatures and animistic culture in a way that we now understand it as comics and now as movies and TV shows, a DC universe and a Marvel universe.
Real quick, Jay, I wanted to show you artwork from Vagabond.
Okay. That's not artwork. That's just fucking sepia tone. That's all that is. You holding together, Ethan? You've been blind for a while right now.
Yes, I am blind.
There you go.
The headphones hurt.
So why? You know what? I will entertain. One Piece. Why? Why One Piece?
No, it's nothing. It was completely off topic. You were talking.
No,
about
it was
anime.
on topic. We were talking about manga and anime. I love that it's 1,000 chapters in and we're not even halfway through it.
Oh, believe me, it's nowhere over. Recently,
Kentaro Miura. I will mention Kentaro Miura, the Berserk series.
Oh yeah.
I am sad that he passed before he got to finish that. But that artwork, especially and for the original series that came out, the use of watercolor to kind of, it's not laziness in my opinion because I think the watercolor was exceptional, but the panning shots over the watercolor rather than trying to animate them out, I think it gives more of a scale and an idea of this giant battle is going on and you're putting it together in your head and you have something visual to kind of look at that and go there. So Kentaro Miura, that's another one that I will mention that I'm very happy about. Fuck One Piece.
Recently, like Oda was in an interview with a journalist, and they were like, "So why is it taking you over 1,000 episodes to get to tell the story?" And his response was, "This isn't the story. This is how the Straw Hat Pirates met. Now I can actually start on the real story." So pretty much in that interview, Oda said that the past 1,050 episodes have just been full filler.
So I'm right in that there is an animated series, but there's also a manga that has
yes. Every week,
do they were they started on the same date, or did the manga come first and then the
manga came first?
Manga typically comes first.
Typically, I know.
Typically,
I just want to confirm on that. So, no, like MASH opens up. Hey, I'm Hawkeye. Hey, I'm okay. Right. Boom, there you go. We know everybody. Let's tell stories now about like the actual story. And I think that was a troll. I legitimately think that was a troll answer.
I want to mention a couple of comic book artists real quick.
Go for it, man. Absolutely.
These names may not ring a bell at first. Al Feldstein, Johnny Craig, Jack Davis. There are others that contributed to the series that I'm about to talk about for a quick second, but those are the three main, at least at the very beginning, when entertaining comics became entertaining. EC Comics, Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Crypt of Terror. Those were the main artists at the very beginning that were there for that. And that artwork is still grotesque in a lot of ways. The descriptions in the I should say the details in the zombies that they drew, the corpses, the rotting flesh, and this is like 1951 or 2 or something like that, right before the code blew up and they all got burned. But those guys are pretty fucking rad too.
Oh, some of the best horror imagery just ever.
Oh yeah.
I think also that inspired eventually what would go on the cinema screen, especially with Grindhouse. I refuse to believe that some Grindhouse directors or writers didn't look at stuff like that and go, "Oh, well, if I can't read it anymore, I'm going to put it out on a screen and see what I can do about that." At least in my opinion. I mean,
yeah, and I think Fulci zombies. A lot of Fulci zombies are definitely
Fulci. I think. Oh yeah. Well, that's a good point.
And Argento as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's one for you, Ethan. Yeah, and I
don't need my glasses to see that. That's terrifying.
This is better. This is a better one here.
Hang on, I do need my glasses.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I've seen that one too.
You can see the sludge coming out of the face of the skeleton.
I wonder how much of that also inspired Stephen King too.
Oh, definitely.
I don't. Does Creepshow exist without that?
No, it does not.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, I think there's. I will say just a quick for personal me. Derek Robertson and for the most part Rodney Ramos were the illustrator and inker on my favorite comic book series, Transmetropolitan. If you want to look at cyberpunk artwork and style, I think they knocked it out of the park in that series. Absolutely 100% knocked it out in that series. Anybody else from the comic world that we want to celebrate?
The artist from Sandman.
Oh, I want to.
Hang on, I'm getting.
I want to say the last name's Byrne, but I'm not sure. Byrne. If I'm wrong about this, punish me however you will.
Also, a lot of DC Vertigo. Constantine, the artist for the earlier Constantine comic books. I'm trying to think. There are also some independent comic books. Original Judge Dredd.
Mm-hmm.
The Crow. By my brain shut off for that one too.
We're coming. We're coming near to the station.
I'm seeing Sam Keith.
Sam Keith. Where does Byrne come from? Byrne.
I'm not sure.
I'm losing my brain tonight. But I think for giving us new pantheons of gods and totems, I think absolutely. If we're going to talk about an impact on nerd culture, an impact on pop culture, I think it comes right there from comic book artists.
Gosh. There's so many more. There's so many more than Sam Keith.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of art styles in the Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
But like Preludes and Nocturnes still sits
right
to this day.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
The Crow was created by James O'Barr but was penciled by Philip Hester.
And that's two things. Just I guess I kind of want to cap it on that. It's not just pencils, but it's also colorists.
Mm-hmm.
It's like choosing the right color to make these things go right. Like.
Yeah, inkers don't get enough credit most of the time.
Oh no, like so the reason why I mentioned Rodney Ramos because he was the inker on Transmetropolitan, and those colors just pop off the page. Like in any other person's hands, I don't know if I enjoyed it just as much. He would go on from that to also have a good run as colorist on the Green Lantern series, and I love the way that kind of like cyberpunk aesthetic kind of molded into Kyle Rayner's kind of stuff. So I like that. So yeah. So Jody.
Yeah.
Are we
I think we're pulling into the bus stop, guys.
I'm much more exhausted.
Yeah, I think everybody's energy levels.
Brady took all the energy.
He took all the energy.
He took all the energy with him.
He took my will to argue with him.
Or to argue just in
your
general.
your will to willpower. Will to argue?
My will to argue, yeah.
I mean,
I'm just saying I'm just saying as much as
Are you saying you require Brady here in order to be able to argue with anybody?
Yes.
All right.
Oh.
As much as good of a friend Brady is, he does tend to push buttons, and I will push his buttons back.
It's sad to hear you say that without him here, because he'll never hear this.
Oh,
yeah, because
he doesn't listen to that.
He doesn't
we know you will.
Yeah, that is true. There you go.
Well, I think it's time for us to say our final goodbyes for this episode.
I'm dying? What? Oh my God!
Well, I thought
this is a shit way to find out I'm dying. Like,
I knew my day was coming.
God damn it. Okay, well,
I did say for this
Mama just killed a man. Put a gun against his head.
I've been your host, Jody Kite.
Now he's dead. Mama.
He's been Ethan Skinner. He's been James McCarthy.
Okay, hang on.
What
is Fearology?
I think that's a podcast hosted by JL Kite, and the new episode's about to drop soon.
Can you tell us what it's about, or is it still?
It's two short stories. I'll tell you the name of the first one because I was told from JL Kite, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
It's called Deprivation.
Deprivation and Other Stories, coming to you on Fearology by JL Kite.
That's right.
Available on Anchor and Spotify.
That's it.
There you go.
Brady, wait. Oh, wait.
Brady's not here, you son of a bitch. How dare you call his ghost? He went to die because we're all dead at the end of this episode.
I ain't no Brady, son of a bitch.
Oh my God! Now he's gonna have problems with you. Ethan, tell everyone about Whiskey and Wrestling.
Whiskey and Wrestling, a podcast hosted by. I didn't catch my breath.
You forgot.
Oh my God! It's the oxygen deprivation from your dying.
Jason Holden and Micah Hill. They talk about whiskey of the week. They talk about AEW and WWE that's been happening within the week, and their personal opinions on wrestling that happened in the week. Again, that is Whiskey and Wrestling. Jason Holder and Michael Hill
on all the platforms. Jay, what is Silence Your Cellphones?
I want to give a PS to that one real quick. As we were talking about art and all the things fun, we did watch prior to this. We watched the AEW Dynamite because we record on Wednesdays, and I was just penciling through the phone, and one of the things it said was, "Nobody wins in an overbooked mess of a match."
Yeah.
So I saw the same article.
They're going to talk to you about that probably on this Sunday. So good job with that. Silence Your Cellphones. Kevin Shelton and Marilyn Monroe have presented to you now weekly for for a full year. For a full year,
nice.
1 year of podcasting from Silence Your Cellphones, all about reviews on movies and television series. They now do a live show on Thursday evenings around 9 p.m. on YouTube. Again, that's streamed live on YouTube with the recordings there later, and also they post up the audio from that onto all of the major podcasting areas, but particularly Google Play, Spotify, and Apple. So yeah, that is Silence Your Cellphones. Kevin Shelton and Jarrett Hubbard. Gentlemen,
those guys need to be like getting paid for what they're doing.
They do have anchor ads. Something.
Okay.
So they might be getting some. They might get some dollars and cents.
Good deal.
We might one day get some dollars and cents.
And before we'd like to go, we'd like to thank Greg, owner of McNarb Gaming here in wonderful Goshen, Mississippi.
Well, it's wonderful unless you don't mow your lawn and park your car in the grass.
For some reason, South Side is the only good side.
McNarb Gaming, the only good side in Goshen, Mississippi.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Gregory Spanner, owner and proprietor. Jody, what are we doing next time?
Next time, we will be talking about licensed video games and the history of.
The history of licensing in video games, yes.
Unfortunately,
we won't because we'll all be dead. Brady already died, and we're going to be dead at the end of this episode.
He's a ghost.
Yeah, so next time it's Ghost Cast about video games. Oh my God, that's the Grim Reaper. He's here now, and so we are almost dead.
Good night, everybody.
Because we had to reintroduce us, and then the ghost could come and kill us.
I've been your host, Jody Kai.
Yeah, I know you're the host. You gotta do that.
I'm here. I'm Ethan Skinner.
Okay, and I was James McCarthy, but now I'm a corpse.
And Brady Davis was here.
And Brady Davis was here, and I think that's the perfect thing to
just need to get somebody carved out on the moon.
Wait, the Grim Reaper is gonna. Oh, he's gonna use a plastic bottle.
Oh no.